Bitcoin sounds like a cult to me every day. I really don't think that it's a cult. I mean, again, you have to like look at what the meaning of a cult is, and I don't know it myself, so I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I don't think that that Bitcoin would be a cult. I think that Bitcoin is just a completely different way of life. Uh, on the podcast I was on, I said like Bitcoin has changed every single cell in my body. And so it's a mindset shift. It's a different perspective. It's a different mentality. It's a different view on the world. And like you switch the timing in your life too. You switch from like being a very short term, got to have everything today. Whatever I do today, I need to be rewarded for it and like recognized for it, to I'm going to put in work today that's going to pay off in the future. And I'm going to get some of that, but the majority of it is going to flow to my kids and their kids in the future. So it's not even anything that's financial. It's a completely different way of looking at the world and thinking about things. It ties in a lot with history. It ties in a lot with philosophy. It ties in a lot with health. Because when you have a broken monetary system and you give a small group of people the ability to print money, that's what leads to very poor quality, unhealthy. I mean, it's the quality. That's what everything comes back to. You look at architecture, the quality of the materials, the quality of the work. You look at our health, the quality of the ingredients that we've been putting into our bodies for the last couple decades and beyond that. When you have a broken money, you have to make things cheap in order to hide how broken the money is. Right? Think about that, because if we had inflation's just been going crazy for the last since the pandemic. Actually, since 2008, inflation's been crazy. And so how do they mask inflation? I mean, they're doing a pretty shitty job at it, but imagine if we had like the same quality of ingredients as we had back in the 60s and 50s and before that. Imagine if we had the same quality of ingredients, how much the products would cost. Everything costs 10 times more than it did 10 years ago, and we're using a tenth of the quality that we had in terms of the ingredients. And once you see this kind of stuff, you want to run away from that, and you're never going back to that. And Bitcoin is just kind of like the door that opens up and says, here you go, come on in. Try things this way for a little while and see how much your life changes, how much your life improves. And then you never go back through that door. So I don't think it's a cult, because there's no like leader in Bitcoin. There's like 10,000 leaders, and there's going to be 100,000 leaders in a couple of years from now. So I know what you're saying there, and I know that you're not trying to like insult me or anybody here, but that's how I see it, anyways. Bodhi says lightning wallet not working. Well, if it was anybody else, I would call you out on it, but I trust you, Bodhi. It's like going to a restaurant and saying, "Oh, forgot my wallet. Sorry." I've used that move a couple of times. Prime Minister dipshit. Yeah, our government's a shit show, but that's fine. That's what I mean. Like, I could spend all day worrying about it and thinking about it and stressing out about it, but it's like, who cares? I have Bitcoin. Go fishing. Volatility is a feature, not a bug. It would be concerning for it not to be volatile. I use Bitcoin volatile as a way to explain it's not being a Ponzi scheme. True. Ponzi's can't market correct without imploding. Not that anybody here believes that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, but yeah, Bitcoin is the only asset that's ever crashed 80% and recovered to a new all-time high after that. So that tells you something. It tells you you're probably in the right spot. Tom says a country boy can survive. That's true. It's true. I see that as a trend in the next long term. People are going to start moving out of the cities and moving into the country. It's just a much more peaceful, simple life. I shouldn't say never say never, But it would take a lot. I don't even know what it would be to get me back into a city. Just you can't replace this. Like you can't put a price on peaceful.